Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, this Chinese national drugger, sexual assaulter, a rapist, rapist, that was a PhD student because he had already got his graduate degree out the way of this out of a major California college. He did this to various women, model minority, right? Right? That's the model minority that millions of Black Americans keep hearing constantly about. Oh my goodness, won't you be like certain types of Asians? And and they know there's not enough Black Americans with very few exceptions. Like, what in the freaking tail you talking about? Asia is a continent made up of dozens of countries, right? And then however numerous other islands. So what does an Asian person look like? But again, see, this is the kind of little nonsensical infantile behavior that certain type of people play upon Black Americans, right? With small exceptions, with this generically Asian card, as if there's some type of pan-Asian love, and it's not whatsoever, right? But the thing about it again is this Asian, oh my goodness, pan-Asian love, we must activate. What do you mean by that? Whoa. Whoa. Wait a minute now. Say what? No. No activation. We can't have that, right? Can't have that. See, the thing about it is I've done various podcasts on tan upon tan criminality, on that situation. By the way, let me sit there and tan upon Black criminality. Oh, they don't want to talk about that. Let me sit there and show you something. This is a few podcasts that I've done on the Real CP Show podcast part. Let me make sure you can see that part before I get into the video. Let me make sure. Okay, give me one moment. All right. Now, as you see on here, the Real CP Show, my podcast. So I'm not new to the game here. You see that many videos. I'm not new to the game. You see right here, this Asian male shot two other Asians at a nightclub after getting beat down by some women. An Asian woman juror not even trusting this Asian couple, pan model minority, not activated, right? Another one. This deadly Asian takes the life of a 17-year-old American Black female. Oh, they don't want to talk about the numbers of Asian upon Black criminality. Oh, they don't want to talk about that. And again, I'm not talking about some of the good numbers of Asian brothers and sisters out there. They know who they are. But again, that game again, what does an Asian person look like? Because there's Afro-Asian personnel. You see how the game they keep trying to play, especially upon millions of American Blacks, with few exceptions, that don't sit there and call this nonsensical infantile little tactic out that they be trying to do, the ones who do that. And then you got certain numbers of Asians that got some nerve to talk about, especially before the Trumpism, when they was talking about, oh my goodness, you got to sit there and have the talk with the Black people who are sitting there doing this anti-Asian crime, doing anti-Asian criminality, criminality against Asians by Black folks. Oh, that was a big thing that was going on. So people that know, and they found out it was a freaking lie. And they found out the gigantic amount of criminality that was happening to generalization, Asian terminology, was numbers of males within the predominant culture. They didn't want to talk about that like that. And when it was found out like that, it went silence, right? But at the same time, what happened in the Biden administration? An anti-Asian hate crime law legislation was passed. What in the froggy tails insulting was that? Oh, there's some black Americans that know in the 80s and the 90s and going to those certain type of Asian stores, right? And how they were racially harassed and stuff like that. And however, numbers of black women that have been racially assaulted. I've done videos on that, right? We had some Asian person that the ones applies to where they were sitting there assaulting numbers of black women, right? But they don't want to talk about that. So the number one hated group in America for centuries before the majority of what we call Asians even set foot in America is black Americans. The number one group that's most hated against. Criminality, hate crimes, but still no hate crime legislation. But you got however politicalness the ones applies to expect black Americans to sit there and vote for them. You're talking about something that's really wrong with a certain millions of American blacks who don't see through this tactic, with small exceptions. Another particular podcast I did, this Asian couple harbor illegals, rental money, laundering, other criminality. So I've done numerous upon this situation, numerous podcasts on this not model minority-ness, right? On that situation. So let me go ahead and share my screen on this part. So let me go ahead and play this particular video on this situation. And make sure you can see this.
Breaking news, the LAPD is announcing the arrest of a suspect who's accused of sexually assaulting multiple victims. Investigators believe that suspect may be responsible for even more crimes.
And they are asking the public to help identify more victims. KTLA's Kimberly Chang is live in downtown LA with more on this breaking story. Hi, Kimberly.
Hi, LAPD officials just wrapped up a news conference here at the downtown headquarters. They did announce that they have arrested a USC international student. Take a look. They released his photo earlier this morning and identified him as 30-year-old Shhhh Wang, a graduate student at USC.
What? A serial sexual assault suspect, Chinese national, arrested. Does that look like model minority, right? Does that look like, oh my goodness, they're victims, right? See the game of that they keep playing, the ones who do it.
A graduate student at UM as 30-year-old Shhhh Wang, a graduate student at USC. They say he was arrested August 28th. Now, police say that there were multiple sexual assault victims between 2021 and 2025. Wang is accused of using drugs to cause victims to be unaware of their surroundings, and that's when police say he sexually assaulted them. Now, to be unaware of their surroundings, and that's when police say he sexually assaulted them.
But this is the model minority that black Americans are supposed to be impressed with. And he's a grad student. And I think it was some time engineering this background that he had. Man, I've never been impressed because someone just has a certain type of degree. Please. How many times people have went into countries criminality wise and they've had high level degrees? Huh? So we're not going to even go there on that situation. How many numbers of personnel had degrees committing fraudulent activities? How many ones have degrees, especially ones within certain parts of predominant culture, the ones applies to, that have shown anti black American hatred? Huh? And again, let's not get it confused. See, one of the big problems still going on within American blackism is there's some coons and sellouts. And how many ones that have some degrees within black Americans, I'm talking about the ones coon sellouts, that act like there's no such thing as racial racism, hatred toward American blacks, because some of them doing okay. Some are doing okay, right? But then you ask the question, where's all the black Americans that own cruise ships? Where's all the black Americans that own airplanes? Huh? Where's all the black Americans that own yachts? Huh? Just saying.
Now, he is facing 8 felony counts, including rape. They wouldn't give details about the victims or say whether or not they were students, but LAPD did confirm that they started this investigation after receiving a tip in January from German authorities. They wouldn't elaborate what the connection is, but did say that the suspect, who is a Chinese national, has traveled to Germany before. Now,
what? Let's hear that. What did they say about him?
But did say that the suspect, who is a Chinese national, has traveled to Germany before. Now, after his arrest in LA, Robbery Homicide Division served search warrants in the University Park area, and it's believed that he stayed there but may have had another place where he was living. Here's more from that news conference this morning. Take a listen.
Links to activity that the German police became aware of. They shared it with our authorities here, and our individuals here, both in the FBI and in our robbery homicide division, picked up the case at that point. We're not looking at this individual for drug trafficking. We're looking at him facilitating these sexual assaults by means of utilizing intoxicating substances and drugs.
But we're just going to pretend that we didn't hear what we heard about this drugger, this Chinese national drugger, sexual assaulter, rapist, right? Of various women. But again, black Americans are told by the millions, well, you just, I mean, look at the agents. And again, they know already it's not enough black Americans say, which age you talking about, fool? Asia's a continent. Huh? And it's certainly not no pan-Asian love, right? And how many numbers of Asians, talking about the one, there's a caste system of Asians, by the way, right? Because we ain't talking about Afro-Asians, by the way, because how many of them get hatred by numbers of wannabe Anglo-Asian type ones? Oh, we don't want to talk about the Anglo-Asian stereotype looking ones. We don't want to talk about those who wish to goodness gracious that they wish they was Anglos, right? How many of them sit there and get that eye surgery to open up their eyes a little bit, right? How many of them have some truly super pale skin, right? Because they're trying to be like certain personnel within certain parts of Angloism, right? Oh, we don't want to talk about that part of it, huh? But at the same time, there are certain numbers of caste system Asians that was jumping up and down with, should we say, a certain type of person or personnel who, if you sit there and say certain type of things, they would call you anti-Semitic, right? Which is a whole different topic in itself, because you ask the question, what does a Semitic person look like? Because Semitic only means all languages and also groups, not a one-look personnel, but those are whole different games in itself. That continues to be allowed. But again, those are different topics. So they had a certain type of personnel, again, that utilized certain type of Asians to go to certain type of, should we say, I think it was a major Ivy League school and another particular school, college, that was the ground zero of trying to seeing that the Supreme Court was able to strike down sectionality or racialness quotas, wherever it is. Even though you like, first of all, 9,000% of black Americans were not benefiting off of racial quotas to college in the first freaking place. But what it was about is this system wants more type of caste system Asianness, right? To infiltrate more colleges. They want more type of black-skinned cosplaying type personnel from certain sections of Africa, from certain sections of the beautiful Caribbean. I'm telling you, the games are strong, and they know most numbers of black Americans, with small exceptions, don't know how to play the game and see what's going on, right? An article I'm about to show you before I close the show. Let's just read this quick article for a second. Let's make sure you can see this. PhD student. What does this say again? PhD student, right? That's supposed to be smart, right? But being smart don't make you use logic, people. All those people who know what I'm talking about on that. So this PhD Chinese student allegedly confessed to drugging, robbing multiple women before pleading not guilty. She's something Stephen Wang, 30 years old, still young, right? Allegedly admitted to drugging and sexual assaulting 3 women and perhaps even more, according to the prosecutor's motion filed in September the 2nd, 2025. Today is December 24th, 2025. Look at this criminality. Look at this criminal. Look at this major criminal, right? But people want to talk about black on black crime, black on black crime, black on black crime. What kind of nonsense is that? She's something. Stephen Wing allegedly admitted to drugging and sexual assaulting 3 women, according to, I read it already. Wang has been charged with forcible rape, sodomy by controlled substance, by anesthesia, rape by controlled substance, and sexual penetrationness by controlled substance or anesthesia, according to such and such. He has pleaded not guilty. A University of Southern California Chinese student allegedly admitted to drugging and sexual. I'm not going out again. The alleged assault occurred when Stephen Wing, 30 years old, was enrolled as a doctoral PhD student, people, at USC between 2021 and 2024. I just read the other part a little bit right above that. So I'm not going to read this again, that particular summary part. Wing alleged victims include 2 friends from China and a classmate in Wing's doctoral program, per the motion. I'm just going to stop right there. But at the same time, right, you're going to have people that act like they don't see what they saw or what I just read, right? But Black Americans are told, oh my goodness, get over the past, and oh my goodness, what are you going to do about this hatred that y'all be showing to numbers of Asians? You be like, what are you talking about? Or other different groups. And you're like, I know you ain't talking crazy about that. When there are Black Americans who know that, knowing that how many times that they've been victims, harassed by certain type of Asians, the ones it applies to, right? Because there's certain castes of Asianness who this applies to, right? Oh, so they don't want to talk about that part. But again, it just shows you the lack of really gumpness. It shows the lackness of hardcore reality of not allowing people and groups and biases and entities to sit there and consistently allow the insulting toward Black Americans. They know it's not enough Black Americans to sit there. Oh, they know it's not enough numbers of Black Americans to say they've had about enough of this one-sidedness, right? Biasness that consistently keeps going on, pointing the fingers at Black Americans as if Black Americans are the ultimate criminality type personnel, right? When crime stats show something totally different, right? That American Blacks are the victims of hate crimes. Personnel within various sections of Panama's culture are the most criminality ones. See, we don't want to talk about that. And then how about numbers of Asians who commit criminality upon one another or other groups? They don't talk about that. What about, again, certain type of Asians who commit criminality toward Black Americans? Oh, they don't want to talk about that, right? And I've done podcasts on that, right? Black woman getting beat down by this Asian guy accusing this Black woman of stealing, and there's no video to show. Another particular video shows another Black woman. It was a sad thing about her because it's like she was just so downtrodden. When these particular Asian personnel, this caste system Asianness, locked to this Black woman and her daughter inside the store, accused them of stealing. They like, what are you talking about? Show the cameras while they were stealing. And they said they wouldn't do it. And they had some bad seed enforcement people in there that basically was sitting there laughing at them, right? They were worthless, right? That's a whole different topic in itself, bad seeds, right? See, again, they know it's not enough Black Americans who have gotten truly tired of the one side anti-American Black hatred. But at the same time, expect Black Americans to show up at the polling stations at midterms and the every 4 years to show up, but get no tangibles. But at the same time, while other border breaker legal immigrants getting resources, free legal help. How many of them get free legal help? Resettlement assistance for various types of immigration groups, right? Again, an anti-Asian hate crime law that was passed before this Trumpism, right? You see how that goes when there is no such thing as pan-Asian love. You see the insulting of this, right? I mean, the insulting is pathetic. So in closing,
black folk at 200 miles an hour. I mean, watch the benefits they get. They go past black folk at 200 miles an hour, pass them. That's why in all these cities, in Chocolate City, they do better right here in Chocolate City. Now they're underneath the immigrants. Immigrants that come in the country, they get a point over black folk for being an immigrant. Blacks are the only non-immigrant. 2, they classified, all of them are classified as whites. The Arabs, Asians, Hispanics, they all been reclassified as whites. Even American Indians back in the 1890s became classified as whites. They get a point. That's the second point. They get over black folk in getting access to resources and benefits. The third thing they get the benefits of being put into a minority category. They're classified as minorities over black folk. Thirdly, they come in with a culture, and they can establish a culture, and they can now build businesses, industries, and relate back to their homeland. And lastly, what they can do, they also bring in a religious aspect and business opportunities for their people. Black folk get nothing.
But again, you got personnel that act like they don't hear or see what they heard or see, right? Against Black Americans. And again, I'm not talking about some of the sellouts and coons within certain types of Black Americanism either, right? I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.